if you're an Amazon seller, you should be very excited about the new updates that have come to ChatGPT. To get to the point, basically any sort of image, professional image that you might see on like an Amazon storefront or on the A+ content, anything that you see, basically you can now just make multiple or infinite variations of these within minutes per image, of course. Just to show what I'm on about, if you take, well, I've used this image here. So if you take this and then go to ChatGPT, you have to be on the paid version. You paste this in, the image, and you type in a quick caption. In this case, I put create image of a person sitting outside in nature and the focus of the image is on the amber cup. And so with just this as a prompt, basically, as something to go off, it's made this new image. If you look at it in the details, I mean, I've really compared the two, right? There's nothing to split the cups. The cups are perfect. The only thing that's funny about this is the name of the book is Sideways, which, wouldn't be the case. And then from here, once you've generated an image, it only takes 2 minutes, but I'm not going to do it on this demo because it'll take too long. You can just type straight into the bottom about like any sort of changes that you want to make, like the name of the book or I don't know, the color of the jeans. You also have the selection tool, so you can get really specific, right? So again, like you wouldn't need to do this for the book. You could just say change the name of the book. You type in change the name of the book to whatever, and you can also specify the orientation of the writing. Click publish, and then again it will make a new image, and it will do its best to make the changes that you asked for. That's the reason why I sort of hesitate on this, is because even though it's very impressive and definitely the next evolution of like AI images that I've seen, at least, no, it's not perfect. But I'll show you an example here. So this was a real image taken from this brand Ion, and then it's like this is a real image they produce, and then I wanted to make this image, but replace the blue bottle with this green bottle. Some quick details to keep in mind. It says like Ion 8 is raised a little bit, and then similar with the cup, there's like it's got a unique design, right? It's got a little hook that goes around here, whatever else. So again, as I say, generate a mix of these images for the green bottles on the beach. You get the idea. And then this is what it came back with. So first thing is it's changed it to a 3. I guess it struggled to read that it was an 8, but it's also lowered it down on the font of the logo. So it's completely wrong. And if you look at this, it's like it's got the design, like what's there in spirit, but like it's just everything's softer. And nowhere near as detailed. So obviously that's a bit of a problem. So I went into this tool space here, and then I made some suggestions. I said and also the shadow. The shadow is completely wrong. So I was like, fix the shadow and change the 3 to an 8, as it actually is on the product. It changed it to an 8, in fairness, but the shadow is still wrong, and the logo is still not right. And the design up here. And I've been doing a lot of tests, basically, right? And everything seems to point back to this, right? There's like, you might get lucky with a render like the cup, but most of the time it's going to get something wrong. Or multiple small things, I should say. And you can wrestle with it. Like, trying to type in this space here about how you want to change it. You could even, if you have the skills, you can just use like Photoshop and just use the rest of the image, and then it's like, you can use a Photoshop of the actual product. But it's not quite where you would want it to be right now. So you can't just just instantly just change all of these and just it'll be perfect each time straight off. It's gonna take a lot of work, and chances are it's probably not gonna get what you want. It's just gonna frustrate you. And that's been my experience with all these tests that I've been doing, right? So I wanted to go through that and then actually find 5 like direct actions that you can take as a seller and get like immediate use out of this, like pretty much 1 for 1 every time you use it. You don't have to fight with ChatGPT to get what you want. So that I found 5 different ways that you should be using ChatGPT in these images. And as it improves, then obviously this list will change. But I've made a short little guide just for my own reference. So the first example it does a really great job at is like swapping colors. So this is an actual image from the Logitech MX everywhere or something like this, the mouse. I took this image from their listing, and then I got the same mouse, but as like a child variation. So I got the black version, and then because assuming that you don't have or you didn't change the color in Photoshop, you at this point now you only just need to put the two images in, and then write a short prompt about changing the color, and then this is the final result. And I've really looked at the mouse, and I'm pretty sure it's perfect. I can't see any flaws. The flaws actually come from. It's changed the ring up here. It's not a big deal, but this is the main error where it's messed up the graphic. Right, this was like everything was perfect, and there's like a whole additional graphic that is just cut off. So yeah, the swooping motion. So it's not perfect, but you can easily just take this image and just paste it over this, and there you go. It's fine. So definitely recommend playing around with the colors. I guess it can get a bit complicated, right, when you have multiple colors. But for this, when you're talking like black and white, it's going to do a great job. Maybe when you actually bring in colors as well, like say if it's like yellow, it might be a bit difficult to get the right shade. I've seen that in a few tests. But yeah, for now, I'd really recommend experimenting with swapping the colors in an image. Next is a comparison table. So I took this image right here it's from this headphone listing that I found. So they made this. I mean, I don't think it's particularly great, but I mean, it conveys the points well enough. You can basically make these tables yourself now in a minutes again. So, I mean, just from a starting point, I just wrote this. No, I didn't attach any images at all, except for, no, I did. Sorry. I attached a picture of the headphones. And then I wrote the prompt saying, compare the material, the playtime. So it's all here. And then I just hit enter. And then it produced this straight away. Now, obviously, it's simple, right, compared to this. You can, this is what I'm trying to show you with this one here. I wrote this, and then it gives you a lot more. You can go crazy with it. I said add different graphics to the sides, add some color, and then straight off the bat it just made that, right, just from a couple of edits to the initial prompt that made this. A great feature though, and what you need to experiment more with is taking existing images and combining it or using it as a reference. So here's the image. This is what I put in. I put this image, and then I found this image here of it's like a coffee, comparing it to like a coffee from a store. I was like, I use this image here as like a reference to create a table. So it's like, I mentioned that, I put in the points I want to include. And yeah, this is what it came back with. I mean, you can see, it's not perfect, right? It hasn't got the split or anything. Not that you'd want that. But you can see overall it's got the spirit of the design. So, and that's true for anything, right? You can do that with lifestyle images as well, which I'll show you in a bit more detail again. But yeah, you can always just use something you like and then just go make a version of this or use it as a reference. So you're only limited by what you can find. Another great one you can use it for is logos. It does an excellent job with logos. In this case, I just attached a picture of the headphones and I go just make a logo. Here's the name of the brand. And it just pumped this back straight away. It's not a masterpiece, obviously. You can just do what I said before, where you just take like a good image or a good logo that you want to reference, and then you can put the two together. But I mean, in a matter of seconds, it's made this logo with the font for the brand name, and it's just. I mean, I've seen a lot of Amazon brands outside like the big sellers, and yeah, you could all benefit from using this. So give that a go. Speaking of, a lot of what you see on a lot of sellers is like terrible Photoshop work. So here, in this example here, you can basically you see this image a lot. It's like 9 times out of 10 you're going to see this. It's got like the poor shadow work. It's just, you can tell that someone has put the two together. What I did is I took this image and combined it with this image and said actually put the two together with this new prompt. And immediately it looks real, right? Like it looks like as real as it could be, like this person wearing those headphones. Especially when you compare it to this, this is what you think the AI would be doing. Again, perfect. It's not perfect. It's like the headband here. It's just made that up. It doesn't look like that at all, and the brand name's a bit off. But you can just keep playing with that, right? Or at the worst case, you can make those. You can get someone you can do Photoshop, and I'm sure they have an easier time changing the logo here than they would try to do this. So give that a go. Take your Photoshop images, give it a real image of your products, and just say, fix this up and see what you get. And then finally, we're going back to what I showed you before. It's just good for lifestyle images in general. You can put your storefront, the A+ content. I would avoid using these images for your main 7 images that you have on Amazon, just simply because you don't want to take any risks with your listing. So if someone points out it's not actually a reflection of your product, then you don't want to take any risks. But I think with A+ content, as long as generally they're smaller images, if you just keep them small, I think you'll be safe. If it's talking about the detail of the brand name there, you're not going to see that on a small scale. But yeah, you can just take any sort of image. You can go even say I was a competitor of this brand. I could just say I could take this image, combine it with my own cup, and then boom. It's they've done all the hard work. I've just said, okay, just put a picture of my cup in and then change it a bit, and then this is what you get. So yeah, overall, it's a great addition. And you should be excited. I would just say, don't get carried away right now. Don't try and jump straight into the deep end. I mean, feel free to try. Like with this example of the bowl. You give it a try. But I would probably wait and hold your horses a little bit right now. Don't get carried away. But instead, try and apply it to the smaller things, like lifestyle images, improving Photoshop work, doing a logo if you need, a comparison table, and change colors. So yeah, give that a go. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. And yeah, let me know how you get on with this new update.